Hey kids, we're a couple of annoyed drunk boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. That's right, we're the podcast explores the American animated sitcom The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond, and the newest ones when they're available, like this week. Why do we do it like that? Well, an entity known as the Wheel of Random has trapped us and forced us to watch the show in such a manner. Plus, there are tons of other podcasts that explore the golden age of The Simpsons, that being seasons 1 through 10. Of course, I am one annoyed grunt boy named Steve, but with me, as always, is the other annoyed grunt boy,
Craig.
Hello, Craig. How are we doing this week?
Still dying, Steve. Still dying. I think I'm getting a little bit better from whatever disease I got.
Yeah, last week you were sick, and you continue to be sick, but you're sounding a little bit better, which I'm glad to hear.
That's right. I'm putting on a voice right now, though. It's not my real voice.
Do you talk like this?
Hello to all the ladies out there in Radioland. Is that what he says?
I think so, yeah.
Homer Simpson, I'm saying.
Oh, yes.
When he gets for Bart's birthday, he gets the microphone.
Yeah.
That you can connect to the radio, which, as a kid, I remember watching that episode. Again, we're not supposed to talk about episodes from season 1 through 10, but
of course,
bringing up that episode when Bart gets stuck in the well. And he's doesn't care about that microphone that you could speak through the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I was as a kid, fuck you, Bart. That's an awesome gift, and I want that. I always wanted that.
Especially when I learned that was a real thing, and that the commercial that they were doing was a parody of a real commercial. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, holy shit, that's a real thing that kids could buy. And then, I really wanted one because I wanted to be on the radio.
And now we're doing a podcast, which is essentially essentially what we wanted to do, and we finally can do it now.
Yeah, so, hey, ladies, I'm coming back for you later. Man, yeah.
I interrupted you. You were going to ask me something, so...
I was just wondering, since you're sick, what if you have, the next COVID and you're, the outbreak monkey starting monkey person?
Well, if it is, then people will be fine.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah. Because you don't go anywhere.
No. Well, that and, it started with sore throat and then a little head cold, congestion, just your typical, sickness, cold.
That's good. So, no, alien pustules or, no extra limbs or...
No.
Oh, no mutations?
Sorry, I was looking. Nope.
Ah, that's kind of disappointing. I wish you were either better or way more sicker, because then it would be interesting, so...
I'm probably fine now. It's just, I love to take, Dayquil.
Mm-hmm, it's fun.
That sounds like an addict's response. Because even though it says, non-drowsy, you still get this, sense of, drowsiness, but, there's also, you feel like you're invincible in a way, like your body does.
Mm-hmm.
It's I could just sit here and, zone out, but not fall asleep.
If you like that, Craig, may I suggest another project for you? Cocaine.
Maybe not.
Okay. Probably not good for your nose, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't need to be active. Although, that'd be kind of funny. You know how, a lot of radio shows back in the day, when we would listen to them, they would have... a drinking show where it was showing how drunk you are. It was always a PSA, not to drink and drive, right?
Right.
And I imagine podcasts do it. We used to drink on this podcast. We don't anymore. But what if we did a cocaine episode where we just do a lot of blow in the intro and then we talk about the episode?
That would be fun because it would probably be a 6-hour episode, and we'd probably solve all of the world problems, and then we should start a band. And then, we can have, all these big ideas, and then we'll just, I think this is the good idea that we should never do.
Some people, when they listen to podcasts, they speed it up to, the 1.25 speed.
Mm-hmm.
We will sound like that at the 0.50 speed.
Right.
So they put it at the 1.25, it will sound like chipmunks.
Exactly. We'll play a clip from Alvin and the Chipmunks, and it'll sound, slow and, yeah.
This is our 299th episode, Steve, so that means we got one more. We break off the big 300.
Whoa, that's kind of huge. This is Sparta next week.
Yeah, I can't believe we got to our podcast in our own personal weight.
Wow, yeah. That's depressing.
Well, Steve, you're not 300 anymore. You're 185, I bet. I don't know.
That's actually exactly right.
There you go.
Nice. But you know what's great, aside from weight, is The Simpsons. And let's talk about The Simpsons and this week's episode, which is entitled Shoddy Heat, in which an unearthed corpse opens up a cold case from Springfield in the 1980s, as well as a steamy relationship between young Grandpa Simpson and Agnes Skinner. Whoa.
I'm scared.
I'm scared and a little bit excited. So let's watch the episode, take a break. We'll be right back. And we're back. Today we're talking about Shoddy Heat, the 4th episode of the 36th season. It is episode 772 in the show's run. It originally aired on October 27th, 2024. Your nerd code is 35ABF16. It was written by Jeff Westbrook, directed by Gabriel DeFrancesco, and your showrunner is Al Jean.
3-time WGA award winner Jeff Westbrook.
Oh, yeah.
Steve?
Yes?
This is episode 25 that he's written.
Wow.
And the 14th we've reviewed. And I'll let you know, Steve, we can review his entire Simpsons catalog. We just won't. I mean, we will, but...
That's not today.
We just won't do it all. Yeah, just not today. That's a lot of podcasting to do, Steve. But we have, cover, like I said, 14. Ones we've reviewed. We had The Wettest Stories Ever Told, Kill Gill Volumes 1 and 2, No Alone Again, Naturally, Pranks and Greens, The Nedliest Catch, Ned and Enda's Blended Agenda, The Wreck of the Relationship, Let's Go Fly a Coot. One of our favorite episodes from season 32 is The Road to Cincinnati, Girls Just Trying to Have Fun, and from season 34, Pen Gal, and also Clown v. Board of Education from that season. And finally, Steve, Treehouse of Horror 34.
Wow. Seems that he likes to write a lot about Chalmers, Ned, and Grandpa.
And Edna, but, R.I.P.
Indeed.
Yeah. So we have fun with good old Westbrook. His brother is East Stream, and it's Jeff, but spelled with a G.
Right. Because you know how brothers have the same name, same first name spelled differently, but an opposite last name.
Right. That's how brothers work.
Exactly.
As, I've been told. But at least Jeff Westbrook spells Jeff the right way, not that weird Geoff that certain giraffes like to spell.
Yeah. Of all the weird ways to spell a first name, Geoff is probably the worst, in my opinion.
I don't know. I just want to be like Geoff.
Unless, of course, we have any listeners. Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's pretty cool.
It's the best.
Yeah. You're pretty cool. You probably have the huge hog as well.
Of course.
No grandpa-sized hog, but,
I mean, who does? Speaking of bodies, this episode, before we begin, is kind of a take on the 1981 film Body Heat. Craig, have you watched Body Heat, or do you know what its whole deal is and what it's about?
Steve, sadly, that has Craig not seen. It's not been a Body Heat fan. I don't watch movies made before my birthday anyways.
That's fair, and I guess I can't either, because, this is a...
Yeah, as we know, I was born in 2001.
Mm-hmm, and I was born in 2000, mid-September, we'll say.
All right. 11, Steve?
Yeah.
You 9/11, baby?
Actually, well, to be honest, I was conceived on 9/11. My parents were just like, yeah.
Oh, boy.
My mom was like, the tower's not the only thing going down today.
Did you pound off on 9/11? It was a Tuesday morning. Did you get up and, pound off?
I mean, probably. Not like during the news.
Right.
I hit mute.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I was single. I was single then, so yeah, I probably did.
It's funny. My wife and I have been going through a apocalyptic movie phase, and last night we watched the Will Smith movie I Am Legend.
I am Craig.
And I am Steve. Which came out in 2007. And it made me wonder, speaking of 9/11, what a weird way to start this episode, that how long before or after 9/11 could you have movies where shit happens to New York?
Let's see here. Well, didn't the Mariah Carey movie Glitter take place in New York?
That was a tragedy.
That was, yeah, and that came out during 9/11. This is more suited for our future movie podcast on Patreon because there's probably no movie podcasts on Patreon at this time, so I figure we'll probably have to start one soon.
Yeah, we'll break new ground, be revolutionary like that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Well, let's just get started on this episode of The Simpsons. And it begins, as it always does, with the cloudy skies of Springfield burning up in the sweltering heat. But not just any heat, a shoddy heat. So as Grandpa Simpson puts it, the women are like soda water. They go better with a gallon of scotch. And when the weather's hot, we drink a lot.
So Super Nintendo Chalmers sips some of that womanly scotch, while Principal Skinner fans him outside, and children play in a fire hydrant that has been opened. Looks like Skinner ransacked AC/DC guitarist Angus Young's wardrobe because he's wearing shorts, a suit.
It's funny.
Well, the fire department arrives and pushes the kids away so they can splash in the water themselves, which is a very funny scene. At Sean's pop-up cactus corner, frantic shoppers stock up on those succulents that don't require much hydration.
As Grandpa narrates about letting the air in and secrets out, the Simpsons attempt to beat the heat at home. While Marge puts Maggie in a bucket of ice, Homer sits in the kiddie pool enjoying the cool breeze from the air conditioner until it dies. So he kicks the unit, which causes dozens of spiders to jump out of the AC and onto Homer's body before scurrying away. Homer calls for them to stay since those tiny feet are cool against his skin. Ugh.
Oh, you have a problem with tiny feet, Steve?
Yeah.
Spiders okay, but tiny feet, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like the opposite of Quentin Tarantino. I don't like tiny feet.
I think Quentin likes all feet. All feet matter to him.
That's right, yes.
I'm kind of happy that Homer has an AC unit. Remember when he was saving up money to buy the air conditioner, but instead he had to buy a new saxophone for Lisa.
It's true, yeah.
I'm glad that he saved up the money for the AC, or most likely he, stole it from Flanders' window.
It's true, but, I think an AC unit is probably one of the most important appliances in our house. Like, I use it probably every day. I have it on right now.
Yeah, I know, and it's annoying to get rid of on the podcast edit.
I would imagine.
It's not even hot today.
I know, but I like the cool breeze. It feels good.
Have you ever been tempted to, just have a kiddie pool inside your living room during the summertime just to hang out and, watch TV?
It would be kind of nice. I mean, yeah, I think it'd be nice. I do remember one time when I was, in my early 20s, and I had moved back in with my parents, I bought a kiddie pool and put it on the porch. And, I just sat out there. That was kind of nice.
Smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee and just sitting in it?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that's what I did.
Well, on the couch, Marge tries to keep her toppling beehive out of her face using knitting needles, but they snap under the weight of her hair. Suddenly, she gets this idea. They can go to a place where people always say it's too cold. That's the Springfield Retirement Castle. So at the old folks' home, Homer tries to cool himself, but Abe stands in his way.
Get your own cooling duct! Typical. My entire life you've never done one nice thing for me, and I'm always kind and loving. So redirect that AC or we're moving you to a worse home. There is no worse home! I mean the one they put veterans in. You monster! Elder abuse! What took you so long?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Abe Grandpa Simpson, but we need your help with an investigation. And I mean now.
What does this mean for our fearless grandpa, Steve?
Wow, I don't know. I'm excited to find out what happens. So Wiggum, Lou, and the Simpsons head to the Shady Oak Cemetery, where the rest of your life will never be disturbed. They pass the tombstones of several deceased Springfieldians, such as
Rachel Kristofsky, 1905 to 1990, died of cholera.
We have Red Flanders, 1880 to 1902, who also died from cholera.
Sir Walter Spuckler, 1620 to 1699, died of cholera.
We have Temperance Sislak, 1912 to 1936, died from cholera.
And Prudence Springfield from 1844 to 1933, died from measles and cholera.
I like that Moe's relative is Temperance, because that means not to drink.
It is pretty funny, Steve.
It is kind of.
The Spucklers have been around since the 1600s.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Especially
that's before, Springfield was founded, right?
Yeah, and, they're a little inbred, probably, so...
Ew. So the Spucklers were the original Springfieldites. This is fascinating, Steve.
It is. Well, Lisa is shocked to learn that they're digging up people's graves, but Chief Wiggum assures her that they're just putting up a monument to the suffering of those unfortunate souls. Unfortunately, that monument is going to be the forthcoming Color Pit Fashion Mall.
So Abe is curious as to why they are at the cemetery at all. And Wiggum explains that while digging up a grave, they unearthed something that no one should ever see. And then he invites Bart and Lisa to check it out, urging them to take their phones and for pictures,
Mm-hmm.
So Lou opens a casket that simply says, died, 1982. He raises the arm of a skeleton inside. And Wiggum states that the second body has been placed in there. And Lou erects another set of skeleton hands.
So on that extra body, the Springfield PD found a business card that says, Simpson and O'Donnell, private investigators, ask for Abe. And on the back of that business card is a young Abe Simpson with his partner in front of the Squidport Village Pier, advertising their detective agency using that Broadway typeface in neon pink against a teal backdrop, reminiscent of Crockett and Tubbs from Miami Vice.
Well, Bart is surprised to learn that his grandfather was a private dick, especially since it now takes him an hour to find his socks. So since Wiggum has said his piece, Abe is ready to leave and calls up on his freedoms to go. So before remembering an even hotter summer way back in 1982.
Now, in this country, a man can say what he wants and do what he wants. Except on college campuses where you can say some things but not others, and it's unclear which.
Hey, you can leave any time after you explain how your business card got on that body.
Fine, I'll talk, but only at the home, with a nurse call button nearby.
Those things aren't even hooked up.
Pushing the button is my exercise. See?
I never saw that part before.
You think it's hot today? It's nothing compared to the summer of '82. It was like living inside the sun with the heat on. Billy and me had been partners for a couple of years. There was plenty of work, divorce cases, roller derby hit and runs. But this particular day was mighty slow. Ah, nice shot. You should be in the NBA.
You too, pal. You look great in short shorts.
You mean the shorts that everybody wears now in the '80s?
Steve, I don't think you look great in short shorts. I'm sorry to say that.
I'll have you know that I'm wearing short shorts right now, and I look pretty damn good.
With the AC blasting.
Indeed.
It is a little cold in there, I could tell, Steve, in your studio.
You're not looking at my nipples either.
No. Are we excited that we're back in the 80s and this is like kind of a 80s noir? It's just so weird. Like, they're doing like this whole noir thing. But I guess, is that what Body Heat was about? Again, never saw it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because aside from Body Heat not being like the biggest of movies, like, and it's got like a lot of stars like Ted Danson's in it and William Hurt and the rest.
Is it a sexy, sweaty movie?
It is. They're eating ice cream in the opening scene. It is a very hot day, and not just the bodies, but the actual temperature is hot. And it's interesting because it is a noir film that's set in the 80s, so it's a throwback to the 50s, and this is a throwback to the 80s. But in the original Simpsons, which came out in the 80s, Grandpa was from the 40s and 50s. It's all very confusing.
It all makes sense, though. I'm kind of digging Abe's look here.
Yeah, it's a nice look.
I like his hair, and you know what? I think Abe at this time, he can get it.
Yeah,
he looks like a sexy Dabney Coleman.
You mean Dabney Coleman?
Yes, sorry. No, maybe more like a little bit of the hair. It's kind of like a 80s Kevin Costner.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that.
He looks like Kevin Costner now.
In his 80s.
Yeah. Billy O'Connell, Steve.
Yes.
And that voice, if it sounds familiar, that's, of course, Venom. No, not Tom Hardy, but the original Venom. And, of course, the most famously known for editing the 85-minute version cut of Star Wars prequel trilogy that only few of his celebrity friends can see. That's right, Topher Grace.
Ah, yes.
Have you ever heard about that? Like, Topher Grace apparently made this edit of all three of the Star Wars prequel movies into like this like cohesive like story of Anakin to Darth Vader, and apparently people that have seen it says it's really good.
You had me at 85 minutes because that sounds great
For a Star Wars or for just anything, yeah.
Yeah, just for anything. Like if I see a movie that's sub 90, I'm like, let's go. And yeah, to cut all the fat of the prequels, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think most of like episode 1, from what I've heard, like is gone. It just starts off with like the lightsaber battle, and then it goes from there. Yeah.
So do we miss out on the pod racing?
Yeah, no Jar Jar either.
Misa no like.
But again, we'll never get to see it because we're not friends with Topher Grace
Yet.
Wait a minute, I figured it out, Steve.
Good.
So of course we're gonna have Lady Gaga on the show pretty soon.
Right.
What if, like, we have Lady Gaga on, and then we let Topher know that, like, Lady Gaga's going to come on? Because I'm assuming he's a fan of Lady Gaga. Who isn't, right?
Right.
So, we're like, okay, well, you could meet her, but you have to give us that cut of Star Wars.
I think this is a good bargaining chip. Yeah. I like this.
All right. Christopher. I'm not going to call him Topher.
No. Christopher.
It'd be like if you shorten your name to, like, Teve.
Yeah. Egg.
I'm Egg. What's up? Well, Steve, as the two men high-five each other after a great shot into the mini basketball hoop. Steve, did you have a little mini basketball hoop?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
I think you always won them at, like, the fair or carnival.
Yeah, and I'd always have those dumb, like, styrofoam balls that, like, if you had a dog, it'd always chew them up to bits and pieces.
Yeah. I'd put it over the door and, like, you would dunk it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun, Steve. But then I realized I had video games, and I did that instead. Well, anyways, the sultry brunette walks into their office saying that she's looking for a detective, but seems to have found a mutual admiration society. So Abe wonders if she wants to join, but she remarks that she would have to admire him before joining the theoretical society.
So as Abe checks out the woman's gams, she reveals herself to be Agnes, Lamb of God, Skinner. She wants Simpson and O'Donnell to follow her boyfriend, who Abe soon learns is none other than the rich bald vulture by the name of C. Montgomery Burns.
Well, Agnes tells Abe that it's getting hot in the office as she pours a glass of water over her heaving bosoms. So she asks for Abe to towel her off, and their eyes meet, and they inch closer and closer and about to kiss, and the moment is ruined.
Are you my new mommy? 'Cause I'm owed a lot of tucking in. Daddy's busy, son. Why don't you play with these handcuffs? Oh, boy.
If you're babysitting, I guess I'll take my business elsewhere.
Oh, hold on. What if I go with Agnes, and kind of check things out?
Okay, but remember, you're representing the firm, so act professional.
Yes.
Oh, I don't get a new mommy. I'll be your daddy and your mommy, son. Now be quiet and leave me alone. And that was that. Now, if you're finished, it's Tapioca Tuesday, and I'm jonesing for something bland and lumpy.
And that's how your wife decided on picking her husband.
Exactly. I am bland and lumpy.
Can I admit something on this podcast?
Sure.
I don't think I've ever had tapioca pudding.
It's nice. But I do remember the first time I ever had it, because my mom packed it. Like snack packs that, like,
yeah,
you carry in your lunch. I had it for lunch, but nobody warned me. And so I opened it up, and there's all these, like, weird lumps in it. And, like, I was, like, 7 or 8, and I was like, oh, my God, this pudding has gone bad or something.
Right.
And I hated it. But years later, I had tapioca pudding, and it's delightful.
I mean, I've had boba tea.
Yeah.
Tapioca balls in it. I just like balls in my mouth, Steve.
Who doesn't?
Let's talk about Agnes, Lamb of God Skinner, looking pretty good there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, voiced by Tress McNeil normally, but I like how she's doing a Kathleen Turner voice. Was Kathleen Turner in Body Heat?
She sure was.
All right, there's that. What? It's just so weird. We're talking about Body Heat. Like, this seems like this episode should have came out like in season 2, right? If they're doing the Body Heat.
It's like, I was going to mention this later, but, like, it's funny how, so obviously, like, when we were watching The Simpsons as younger people, and they'd make references to, like, Citizen Kane or, like, Dr. Strangelove, we didn't necessarily get the references, but I feel like those are such iconic things that we, like, would eventually know them. And it's funny that, like, this season already, we've had a White Lotus reference, which, while it's a very popular show, I think it is kind of a niche audience. And then last week we had so much obscure art references. And now we're doing a neo-noir film from 1981 that, prior to this viewing, I couldn't tell you who was in it, I don't think.
And Steve, I didn't even realize this. Lawrence Kasdan wrote and directed Body Heat. That man's responsible for Star Wars. Like, he wrote Empire Strikes Back.
Wow.
Yeah. He did the screenplay for that. He did the screenplay for Raiders and Return of the Jedi, The Big Chill, Silverado.
Wow.
Bodyguard.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I think I need to watch Body Heat. I just feel like I'm not a film nerd, but like sometimes I pretend I am.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I didn't even know Kasdan did Body Heat or know anything about it like you.
Yeah.
We suck.
We do suck. We're bad people, and we should be ashamed.
Yeah, if we had the Patreon, like, we should have definitely done Body Heat before this episode. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well,
It's got good reviews, and you said it's sexy, so I might see, like, a nipple, hopefully.
we're probably a man's ass.
William Hurt? It wouldn't hurt to see his ass.
There you go.
R.I.P.
Indeed.
Everyone in this movie's dead, like Mickey Rourke. He's dead, right?
Mentally, probably.
Ted Danson.
Yes, he's gone on to the good place. So Abe dons a pair of sunglasses and hops on his rascal scooter to join his fellow elders in enjoying a round of tapioca until Wiggum tells him to slow down, calling him Humphrey Go-Kart. And the police chief wants to know what Abe's partner said when he returned, but as Abe explains, he didn't say anything because he never came back.
So when asked how he responded to his missing partner, Abe simply states that he got new business cards made, replacing O'Donnell with the word nobody. And Homer whispers to Marge about how his father has never acted for anyone other than himself, but Marge is eager to let the police do their work.
After Abe tells the coppers to scram, but Clancy's threatened to put him in an interrogation room with a bare light bulb, no bathroom, and a cold steel chair with an uneven leg. And Abe thinks that would be an upgrade from his current living situation, as the electricity fizzes out and the overhead light bursts into flames. And I also want to call back the joke from the first clip about how they threatened to put him in a worse home, the ones that veterans stay at. It's a good joke about how awful we treat our military vets. But Wiggum and Lou leave, but not before informing Abe that he's a person of interest. And Bart is excited to see that his grandpa is finally interesting and wants to hang out with him. And Abe reluctantly agrees, so long as he doesn't have to talk, which is completely fine with Bart.
So on the ride home, Marge finds that it's hard to believe that Abe wouldn't search for his partner. And Homer thinks that it's typical of Abe's behavior, since he didn't look for his missing wife. He couldn't find that runaway dog, and he didn't realize that Homer was lost at the zoo until the chimp that Abe thought was Homer threw up in the car seat. So as Homer holds up an old newspaper photo of himself riding in the car with a chimpanzee eating a hot dog, with the headline, "Terrible Dad Goes Ape." Homer states that his father still sends the primate birthday cards every year. That's cool that the ape is in his 40s.
Yeah, it's good that he's still alive. Lisa believes that she might be able to find some answers by analyzing the old business cards using forensics, but Marge isn't a fan of her daughter dusting for residues. Lisa begs her mother, promising to only look for splatter. Marge reluctantly agrees, provided that Lisa puts down some newspaper to minimize the mess. And hearing this, Bart asks, what the hell's a newspaper? Which, So, for one thing, Homer just held up a newspaper clipping.
Right.
And also, there's been footage. I was looking on the subreddit for this episode, or like the discourse, and they showed up a clip of Bart reading a newspaper while sitting on the recliner toilet from the Inventor episode. So, I mean, canonically, Bart's seen a newspaper before, but...
Yeah, but, that episode was 100 years ago.
Right, and the kids these days don't know what newspapers are. Their first job, they're probably delivering iPads.
Yeah, and TikToking.
Opening up a kombucha stand.
Vaping with Jojo Siwa.
Perfect.
Skibbity toilet, Steve.
Skibbity toilet indeed.
All right, well, in her bedroom, Lisa uses a little CSI forensic kit, which promises prosecutable results to examine the card. So Bart walks by and tells Lisa that she found blood on the business card and it's type AB negative, which is only 1% of the population. And Bart is less than interested, but Lisa tries to appeal to his imagination.
Amazing. You can make even blood boring.
If Billy O'Donnell had the same blood type, it could be him in the coffin.
Coffin, eh? You saying he's a vampire?
Yes, he's a vampire. We must investigate his blood. Blah.
You're treating me like a child, and I love it. Say blah 2 more times and I'm in.
Blah, blah.
Okay, blood type I know 2 people with all the information in town, but it'll cost you.
How much?
I'm afraid we're gonna have to spend some time with them.
Here's the medical text at my barium swallow. Here's me waking up because the anesthesia wasn't strong enough. And here's the kink in my esophagus. And here's us transferring our slides to video. Transferring. Now here's us transferring our video to digital. Transferring.
Hey, can we get some service?
I love Lisa doing the Dracula voice with Bart.
Yeah, it's really funny that she played along, and I don't know, I love that as a vampire voice. It's a bah, 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 bah. Like, it's just always makes me laugh.
Should we do our podcast that way?
Yes, we like the Simpsons, eh?
Now you just sound like a drunk Italian.
I am a drunken Italian, bah. I want to drink more wine.
And who doesn't, Steve?
Exactly.
Wait, do you even drink? Because you stopped drinking. You don't drink wine anymore, do you?
I don't. I haven't had any alcohol in, like, months.
What happened to you? You used to be so cool.
I'm still cool.
You were never cool.
You're right. Well, as Teddy and Selma return to the DMV desk, they invite Bart and Lisa to snoop as much as they want, but reminds them that the information that they're sharing belongs to the good people of Springfield, as they should be shown the respect they deserve. And then Selma tosses her cigarette into a box of files, which bursts into flames.
So Lisa digs through the private records, finding files for O'Bannon, O'Brady, O'Connell, and O'Connor. She remarks that there are a lot of Irish in this town, flipping through O'Day, O'Dell, Odiodo. Then she finds the dossier for Billy O'Donnell, where she learns that he was born August 11th, 1948. His average weight and slightly above average height, and only has a mild alcoholism. The DMV files also share his pet peeves, and they are people who talk loud and National Lampoon movies. His makeup car is an AMC Pacer. His favorite clone is Paco Rabanne, and he's an organ donor who needs corrective lenses, and most importantly, that he has AB negative blood.
Whoa. Now, I got a question for you, Craig. I think I might find a blunder.
Why?
Well, I guess maybe not. It's just that... No, I guess not. I was going to say that if his pet peeves are National Lampoon movies, and he went missing in 1982, the only National Lampoon movie would be Animal House, because Vacation came out in 83.
So he just hates Animal House?
I think so.
What an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's dead.
Or is he?
Oh, right. I haven't finished the episode yet, Steve. So, yeah.
But he does have AB negative blood. So, as Lisa declares that he's taking over her newly found intel to Grandpa, Bart learns that Lenny only has one butt cheek, which explains why he keeps falling off of his stool.
That would... I mean, I guess you poop the same, but... How do you walk?
It would be a little weird, and as somebody pointed out, we've seen Lenny's ass before, and, you know, it seems like he has 2 cheeks, but maybe he lost one in a war or something.
Maybe he had it sewn up.
Yeah.
All right, I believe that. Well, Lisa writes to the retirement castle to see Grandpa. So outside, Lou and Clancy sit in their car watching in a stakeout while eating a bunch of takeout. As the 2 cops argue over who first thought of having a stakeout, and Lisa shares what she learned with her grandfather.
It's the same blood type. I bet you want to get right back on that trail.
That trail is 40 years old. Colder than the hands of the orderly who puts my gown on.
Hey, orderlies have feelings too.
The DMV found Billy's abandoned car on Old Apple Blossom Parkway, which is now the location of the Springfield nuclear plant. Well?
You're messing with things you should let lie.
And you're lying about messes you should let thing.
Nobody talks to me like that. I'm what that way talks, Hal.
I always looked up to you, Grandpa.
Well, I'm shrinking every day, so I'll be down to you mighty soon.
I can't believe you didn't even try.
Oh, damn it, I did try. Checked with his ex-wife, his bookie, his dance instructor.
Sorry, handsome. You are barking up the wrong tree. 4, 5, 6. Backstep, kickstep, shuffle ball change. Shoo.
I really like the back and forth of Lisa and Abe, you're messing with things you shouldn't let lie. And Lisa's response of, you're lying about messes that you should let thing. It's just fun with words.
Well, the old banter of those kind of films, noir films, yeah.
So Abe knew there was only one person who could tell him what happened, and that was Agnes Skinner. Unfortunately, she was nowhere to be found since Burns was guarding her tighter than a human LoJack. So with his pistol in his holster, Abe pays a visit to Agnes's favorite apparel retail, Leg Warmers and Nothing Else. There he received a tip that Agnes may be at the marina, which is home to several also timely businesses such as
Big Hair Ideas,
the Cabbage Patch Adoption Center,
Noiseland Video Arcade,
VHS Village, formerly Beta Barn.
Now, that's an old joke, right? They've had on The Simpsons. I feel like that we've seen that before, right?
Yes, that is, as well as Noiseland Video Arcade. But yeah, I think that
right.
The VHS Village is formerly Beta Barn. Certainly a thing. It's kind of funny how I was thinking how like it probably went from the VHS Village to like the DVD domain.
Yeah, to the Blu-ray barn.
Yeah, and then it became briefly the Streaming City, but it didn't show anything.
Yeah. Another store is portable cell phones.
The Boombox Emporium.
And Hacky Sack's Fifth Avenue. So Abe tells Agnes that he's there strictly for business, but being with her in the most romantic spot in town is making it hard for him to focus.
Oh.
So Agnes responds by calling Abe really, really stupid, which she finds to be very, very sexy. So she continues to compliment his outstanding dumbness, then tells him not to get ahead of himself, saying that he hasn't even bought her a drink.
So they go into a bar, which is the Bar Side with Gary Larson, which is fun. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this. Like, I thought of a punch-up, but I don't know if it's Simpson-y enough or if it's too, like, Seth MacFarlane-y. Because I think it would be funny if when they went into the Bar Side with Gary Larson, inside there was just, like, cows and women in floral print dresses and maybe a chicken. And it was all, like, in the style. Is that too much?
I think it is too much. I think it's just a reference of the Far Side, because that's such an 80s thing.
It is, yeah. I miss the Far Side.
Well, I thought Gary Larson, like, he's now, like, doing some new Far Side every once in a while just on the website, mate. Is that true?
I think he was, at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. Huh. Also, he's a very normal-looking man. I don't know what I was expecting, but I just looked up the picture of him, and he's just a dude.
It's like him and, was it Bill
Watterson?
Watterson did Calvin, yeah. Just they made money doing comic strips and said, I'm good.
I'm sure it's tough work, but that's like my dream job. Because it just seems like you wake up and you draw a picture, and then you like drink a cup of coffee, then you go back to bed.
Yeah, I know like one cartoonist, like his day was usually he'd wake up, he would do it, but his cat would always be hungry, so he'd have to feed his cat, and always had to take it to the vet, and he always was like flirting with the veterinarian who like gave him no time. So
right,
it's kind of tough because the cat also gets in trouble. Like the cat's cousin likes to come to town, and he always wants to ship that cat. His cat always wants to ship that other cat to Abu Dhabi, and
sure. And you got to wake up every morning and make a batch of lasagna.
Oh, it's tough. And Mondays are the worst because the cat is just not having it.
It's true.
And that man's name was Charles Schultz.
Well, Abe asks what she wants, but once again, Agnes tells him not to get ahead of himself, saying that he hasn't even kissed her yet. So they kiss, and we cut back to the retirement castle, where Grandpa informs Lisa that the next part of the story is a little racy, and offers her some nondescript 80s rock to listen to while he recalls the sexier aspects of the tale.
As Lisa rocks out to Flock of Seagulls played from a Walkman. Should be called Walk Person, Steve.
That's true.
Grandpa recalls making out with Agnes underneath the Springfield sign at Lardlad Donuts and in front of the statue of Jebediah Springfield. With Agnes, he heard something he'd never heard from another lover. Not bad. They continue their tryst roller skating at the Wendy's, where Agnes wears a shirt that says, I found the beef. Wow, that is pretty racy. And Abe sports a t-shirt that says, The Beef, a reference to the burger joint's old spokesperson, Claire Pell, R.I.P. Claire Pell.
Indeed.
Steve, if we ever do a live show, we're going to have to wear those shirts.
Of course, yes.
So Abe was falling for Agnes like Mario over 1,000 Donkey Kong barrels. Then, one night in bed, Abe learns what happened to his former partner.
And then she told me what happened the last night she saw Billy. They were following Burns to see what he was up to.
Okay, listen. You stay in the car until I get back.
I waited and waited.
Ma'am, are you okay? Because I've been staring at you since 2 in the morning.
Oh! I never saw Billy again. Abe, what if Burns knows I was there?
I guess I'll have to ask him. Luckily, I'm wearing my gun.
So what happened when you saw Burns?
I can't tell you.
Why can't you tell me?
Because it's something that would destroy your father.
That's the only chord I know.
All right, Steve, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
That if you solved one Rubik's Cube, the second one wouldn't be so hard.
Right. They do a very funny pixelated Abe scene where he's naked, right?
Yeah.
And I like how Agnes is also smiling, admiring his nude body.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I wish I looked like that.
Yeah.
Naked, of course. So a couple questions. Do you think they actually animated the hog and then they actually pixelated, or is it animated pixelated?
I think it's a law that you have to animate whatever you draw. You can't just pixelate whatever. So I think they did draw the hog.
I hope we get the extended cut on Disney Plus, the unedited version.
I wonder if he has an extended cut.
Yeah. But also, my main point is he's telling this to Lisa. So he's telling Lisa, and then I stood out of bed and I was naked and she was admiring my penis.
Your principal's mom was looking at my dick. Yeah, that's interesting, yeah.
Well, I'm... Okay, I know timeline, whatever, but 81, how old is Skinner? Because theoretically, shouldn't he still be in... He should be back from Nam by now. Or is she... Right?
Yeah.
Or when I was watching this, I was almost thinking because this is, 80, this is 82, right?
Right, yeah.
What if Abe impregnated Agnes?
Oh.
And Skinner is actually a Simpson. Because Skinner could easily be 42.
That's true, yeah. And maybe he has so much PTSD from the war in the Middle East that he thought it was Vietnam.
Right. And could you imagine, the big reveal if Bart found out that he has a step uncle, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And it's Skinner. Oh, man, this is the way it should have been.
Because we already know that Abe is prone to hooking up with other women and having children because of Uncle Herb. So, yeah, this tracks.
Yeah, because we see Homer in it, and he's, the Homer age that, obviously 7 or 8 when Mona left.
Yeah.
I mean, Skinner's a little bit younger. Yeah. All right, well, that's some food for thought, Steve.
Indeed. But back in the modern day, Clancy and Lou continue to scope out the retirement castle when they see Bart skate up to his old folks' home wearing sunglasses. And Wiggum finds it odd that Abe has had 2 visitors in one day. And Lou remarks that there's something rotten in the state of Denmark, of course a quote from Hamlet, but Clancy is unaware of the reference, responding, "Is that the state that we're in? We're in Denmark?" Which, it's a classic Simpsons joke.
Oh, you silly Clancy. All right, well, Bart approaches Abe's room when Lisa tells him that Grandpa has a secret that could destroy their father. And Bart sarcastically responds that he'd hate to have that secret fall into the wrong hands. And Abe tells Bart that he needs his help sneaking out of home without the cops seeing. And Bart agrees to come up with a plan, but he has a demand. He wants a bike. No, wait, 2 bikes. And when Abe wonders aloud how many a kid needs, Bart says he wants to be the Jay Leno of bikes. Bart's like, what's a newspaper? But he knows Jay Leno, and Jay Leno is famous for showing headlines for
Clearly,
newspapers.
he didn't watch it on Monday nights, because that's when the headlines always happened.
The only time we watched The Tonight Show.
Yeah, because that was the best thing, because nobody wrote it.
Right.
Couldn't do that now, because it'd be like AI or something.
The headlines?
Yeah, because, like Bart says, what the hell is a newspaper? So you look at online articles, but then it's just like AI being like, Zendaya is an actress known for this and that, but she's also maybe pregnant, but not really, because whatever. And it's just a lot of nonsense.
Wait, Zendaya's pregnant?
That's what AI tells me.
Oh, she got spider-webbed from Tom Holland.
Clancy sits in his car, spying on Abe through binoculars, when Lisa sneaks up on the vehicle. She pulls out her Miss Little Bastard pocket knife and stabs a tire. So Abe rides in front of the undercover cop car on a scooter with Bart riding behind him. The cops start the engine to chase after them, but only to learn that they have 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 flat tires. This suggests that they should pursue them on foot, but Chief Wiggum has a note from Dr. Nick that reads, "Don't run. Let me out of jail." Free from the cops, so Abe pays a visit to Agnes, while Bart is forced to keep busy with her son.
Well, look who came to visit me after all these years. Magnum P.U.
Agnes, you look terrific. Of course, I can't see well anymore.
Who is this man, Mother? I don't remember him from our scrapbooking.
Seymour, shut the door and play with your little buddy while the grown-ups talk.
You want to play Checksbox?
You mean Xbox?
No, Checksbox. There are 2 extremely challenging mazes on the back. Would you like to get the spoon back to the dishwasher or help the milk find the refrigerator?
Well, I'd like the principal to find his manhood, if you don't mind.
I am muy macho, amigo. Now choose your Hello Kitty pencil and get tracing.
Agnes, 40 years ago, I let my partner down. Now I gotta fix that.
Well, can it wait for a sour ball?
Bitter on the outside and not very satisfying. Just like me. Now think, is there anything you want to share about that night we lost Billy?
If we still have, my theory about Skinner. So he's probably in his 70s, and is Agnes in her 90s?
Yeah.
I mean, for being in his 70s, Skinner looks pretty good.
Yeah, and he sounds okay.
Right. So I guess if he was like 40s, not too good there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never had quinoa checks, but they sound like the worst kind of checks.
I've had, there's like a lot of new Chex flavors now, Steve, and they're pretty good. Like, there's like a blueberry one and a strawberry one. I think they're pretty good. And the cinnamon one, I thought I wouldn't like. Well, the cinnamon one's been around for a while, right?
Yeah.
But I found like as the older I get with like sweets,
Mm-hmm.
it has that kind of still feel of like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but not as overly sweet.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's a little bit better for you. So yeah, I like it Chex. I'm one of those crazy people that likes wheat Chex, but not like to make the Chex mix, to actually just eat the wheat Chex.
Huh. I agree with you that, to me, wheat Chex are the supreme Chex. I do like them in the Chex Mix, but also they're my favorite of all the Chexes, so yeah.
This podcast sponsored by Chex.
Yes.
Now give us Chex.
We're writing checks their asses can't cash.
Well, Agnes tells Abe that she has trouble remembering her meds, her birthday, and even who Abe is, but she'll never forget that night. She informs Grandpa that the road was covered in a material, and then opens up the locket around her neck. Abe takes a taste of that strange powder and realizes that the case has just been broken wide open. Agnes is eager to see what else she can break, and Abe laughs, saying that both lamps and hips are replaceable. So the elderly couple fuck, while in the other room, Bart and Skinner fuck. No, Bart and Skinner are working on the cereal box mazes, listening to their grandfather and mother, respectively, have loud sex.
Kind of weird. So Abe rides his scooter to the mansion of C. Montgomery Burns, who is sitting in the study, literally blown away by an oscillating fan. And Abe appears, making Monty wonder how he made it through the unguarded grounds and the sliding door. And Abe wants to finish a talk they had 40 years in the making.
Burns, I think you might have crossed paths with my partner the other night.
Oh, yes, Billy. He said he was leaving on a trip, a one-way ticket. You could say he's going to paradise.
That answer's not good enough! Daddy, I got scared alone in the car. I thought I gave you a coloring book. I ate the crayons.
Well, you and little boy Blue, Green, and Red can exit together. Release the hounds. Bad puppy. No love. No love. Bad puppy.
Burns, I say you know something about Billy, and I'll never rest until I find out what.
Let's make a deal. You forget about your ex-partner, and I'll give your son a job when he grows up.
He don't need your help. Daddy! Daddy!
I will give that poor pathetic knuckle-brain a job and never fire him, no matter how often and how badly he messes up.
And now a new origin, Steve.
Indeed.
Homer at the plant.
There's a lot about that clip that I want to talk about. First of all, I want to say that I love how the bear that's usually in Burns' office is just a bear cub.
Right.
Implying that despite it being taxidermied and stuffed, it's been growing.
Well, don't you remember there's that episode that I think it was like closing the day and everyone was leaving from home, and like even the bear like stops and like puts on his hat and coat and walks out.
That's true, yeah.
It's an actual bear that just stands there. Yeah, so there you go. It grows.
Okay, so that's that answered. I do appreciate the fact that Homer had crayon up his nose, a reference to Homer, Homr, which we have yet to watch, or yet to review, which I look forward to. But also I want to talk about this thing that happens in the background where we see what appears to be Waylon Smithers Sr. or Waylon Smithers' dad walk by. It's interesting.
Well, because Waylon Smithers' dad died saving the plant.
That's true, yeah. So,
and this also kind of reminds me of that episode, too, of figuring out who the skeleton is and how that person was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Or died, yeah.
Interesting.
Did you also mention the hounds are still puppies?
Yeah, that was really cute, too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're right. Nice continuity moments.
Mm-hmm. So, as Abe and Monty talk, young Homer gets his head stuck in a cooling towers of a nuclear power plant model. Seeing the incompetence of his son, Abe agrees to the deal. And back in the present day, Burns reminds Monty that the reason why Homer has been fired for screwing up 742 times. Now, I've seen both a comment on the IMDb website and on Reddit talking about how... So this is episode 772 in the show's run, and both comments talked about how they screwed up, saying 742, that they should be, it should be 776 because he's screwed up every episode. And one person even said that Harry Shearer must have misspoke, which voice actors in cartoons tend not to do because it's a cartoon. But I think it's clearly just a number that is a reference to their address, right?
I guess 742, yeah, because you think it'd be the episode number.
Because that's 29 less, and I don't know, it's just interesting.
Well, maybe there's 29 episodes that Homer doesn't screw up.
Yeah, he didn't screw up last week because he wasn't really at work. So yeah, that's possible.
Come on, Internet, get a life.
Exactly. So as Monty comments about just how bad of an employee Homer is, Homer walks in with Marge and Lisa just to learn the truth of why he still has a job. He realizes that no matter how much of an idiot he can be, he can never lose his job, just like the Supreme Court Justice. Homer cheerfully thanks his father, who just wanted him to give him the best life possible. And then Homer remembers all the times he screwed up at work, such as
getting his hand stuck in 2 vending machines from Marge on the Lamb,
driving into the nuclear waste tubes from Homer's Odyssey,
eating Mr. Burns' birthday cake,
bringing a kangaroo to work,
driving the car in Mr. Burns' office from Diatribe of a Mad Housewife,
sleeping during a meltdown from Every Man's Dream,
driving his car through the window of Mr. Burns' office and Baby You Can't Drive My Car,
sleeping naked on a work console,
and Homer witnessing the cooling towers explode. Well, Homer wonders if he and his father are sharing a moment, but Abe isn't so sure. As Homer hugs him, Abe admits that maybe they are having a moment, and Burns watches the heartwarming scene and tells them to leave, saying that the poison gas will attach their spinal cords within the next 2 minutes. So he dons a gas mask and releases the toxin, but Abe isn't done yet. He stops the gas and speaks up.
Burns, for the sake of my son, I really wanted to believe you when you said Billy was okay, but now I know the truth. Billy found out when you built the plant, instead of using good solid rebar, you were using this, shredded phone books. Billy found out, so you killed him.
Me? Killed someone? Oh, sure. Blame the ruthless villain.
Start talking or I'll cut you in 2. You bumped him off.
No, I paid him off. He used the money to move to a tropical island, a paradise, just like I told you. I'll call him right now.
Abe, is that you? Wow, look at you. You aged terribly.
You're alive?
Well, if you call drinking rum out of a coconut, surfing, and hanging out with beautiful women living, then yeah, I guess I've been living.
Hey, Billy, want another Abe is an idiot?
Oh, that has nothing to do with you. That's just a cocktail that I invented.
And Steve, I got you an Abe is an idiot cocktail, so you have to drink it. Sorry, your few months of sobriety are out the window because of this.
Alrighty, I'll take a sip. Abe is an idiot. And delicious. I don't know why I stopped drinking. This is great.
Yeah.
Maybe drunk all the time.
I'm probably supposed to tell you the ingredients, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, it's scotch.
Uh-huh.
That's it. It's just scotch.
Okay, yeah. I thought it tasted like Dad.
Also, if you look at the bottom of the glass there, Steve, it's just a bunch of pennies, because Abe Lincoln, Abe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just found a bunch of pennies. You know, like those jars of pennies that you find like antique malls.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just grab that and put those in there.
So it's all dusty and coppery.
Yeah, and some of the stuff I found like on the floor of my car. Enjoy.
Thanks. I appreciate that. It's better than the cocktail I had at Chili's.
Hey, you're eating good in the neighborhood with Chili, Steve.
That's right.
Wait, that's not their slogan. That's Applebee's.
Yeah, because they're so different.
Yeah, Chili's is baby back ribs. All right.
Yeah. Barbecue sauce. Abe asks his former partner why he didn't tell him that he was still alive. And Billy responds that he wanted to keep his ex-wife in the dark and that Abe can't keep a secret, like when Abe told everybody that Billy wore lists in his shoes. And Abe kind of defends himself, saying that he thought it made Billy more interesting, but in reality, it just made him look short, like Tom Cruise short. So Billy goes on to say that he informed Agnes of everything and had her wait a week before letting Abe know. Just then, Agnes bursts into Burns' office.
That's right, Abe. I was lying to you all along because you were dumb. So dumb.
So dumb.
All right, I get it.
I wanted you to think Burns killed your partner, so you would kill Burns.
Why would anyone want to kill me?
Because when I got to know you, I realized your heart was as ugly and withered as your ass.
Ouch.
Also, I snuck my name into your will so I'd get rich when you died.
No one's killing no one.
How dare you blow the head off the bear I killed?
We'll all die soon enough. And Abe, remember this. You were too good a lover to be more than just a friend.
What does that mean?
I'm trying to leave you with something.
I'll take it. Dad, something else came out of this. Something wonderful. I learned what you did for me, and I get to tell you thank you before you're gone.
It's kind of funny, though, that, Agnes and Billy are both kind of screwing over Abe.
Right.
For no real reason. I don't know why Billy thinks that Abe is such an idiot, because he was so nice to him. When they're sitting in their office playing with the mini basketball hoop, they were like, oh, cool. And then all of a sudden he's like a dick to him. It's weird.
Is it because money changes a person?
Maybe. Money changes everything.
Give me money, Steve.
Okay. Here you go. Here's $2.
No, I wanted a peanut.
Money can buy several peanuts.
Well, Homer takes Grampa to Tapioca on Tap, which offers 31 flavors that all taste the same. So Abe takes one bite of his tapioca sundae and declares that he's done, much to Homer's disappointment, because this is this giant, beautiful thing of tapioca. So the credits begin, but then we cut to the police station, where Lisa walks in with a question: if Billy O'Donnell is alive, then who was the second body in the coffin? That's what we were all saying, right, Steve?
Exactly. I was saying that out loud.
I know.
Clancy says that they tried DNA testing, which they probably should have done in the first place. And then he tells Lisa that the second corpse was actually Springfield's beloved business card printer, Harold Baumgartner. It seems that he really loved his wife, and he loved her so much that he wanted to be buried with her, literally. And this also explains why there are so many business cards in the coffin that all happen to be of excellent quality, because 40 years later, we can see that they're as clear as day with such businesses as
Lard Baby Donuts,
Springfield Fireproof Tires,
Gil Gunderson, Lawn Dart Salesman,
Jasper Beardsley, Pac-Man Tutor,
and Young Jewish Man's Hip Hebrew School. Lisa guesses that the matching blood type was just a coincidence, or perhaps God's way of finding closure for a bunch of lost souls. Clancy is impressed with Lisa's police work and invites her to join the force. Lou thinks she may be a bit too young, but as Clancy states, you can't know that until you give her a gun. He then calls out to his son, Ralph, who wonders if he should shoot towards the talkie. And Lisa runs away. And as Flock of Seagulls, Iran plays once again, we see clips of a younger Abe in the 80s, in his detective days, standing on a chair, scared of a mouse, receiving mouth-to-mouth from a paramedic, bribing a police officer, and testing his strength at a carnival game in front of the Berlin Wall. These were all there's like dust all over like what he was doing was revealed. And that's the episode, Steve.
That's right. Well, Craig, let's take a break, think about what we just saw, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back. Let's finish up our discussion of Shoddy Heat. We'll talk about the things that made us laugh from this episode, the things we liked, maybe a most valuable jokester, and what we thought of the episode altogether. And we'll find out what we're watching next week, but before we do all of that, we like to give each other gifts that are like reminiscent or evocative of the episode that we just watched. And this week is no different, because for you, Craig, I have a couple of different gifts. I've got a copy of Body Heat on VHS from VHS Village. And then once you're done watching that, you can rock out to the titular Flock of Seagulls cassette, and you can play that on your new boombox from Boombox Emporium. And because, you're saying that my room is too cold and my shorts are too short, you can keep warm with a pair of leg warmers from Leg Warmers and Nothing Else.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. I just thought you and I could spend some time together, and I just bought you this box of quinoa checks. I thought maybe you and I could do the mazes on the back of the box together. And that's how we would spend our time.
Only if there's an elderly couple having sex in the next room over.
I can arrange that.
Excellent. All right, Craig, what made you laugh in this episode?
My favorite joke was the dig at the Supreme Court justices. I thought that was timely and fun and too true.
True, very true.
I do enjoy the callbacks. Like when we're in Burns' office with the crayon from Homer and seeing Waylon's dad and the cub, the puppies all being young. And of course, like visually, it's a lot of fun, like the 80s style of clothing. Grandpa looking pretty sharp there.
It's just
Agnes looking pretty good. I loved Burns' wardrobe as well.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget the pixelated hog scene.
Ah, yes.
It was a lot of fun. Some of the risque stuff too, like that being one of the risky things, and of course the risky thing of "We have the meat" slogan from Wendy's. She's wearing like "I found the meat," and then he's wearing the shirt that says "I am the meat."
Mm-hmm.
Very risque, excuse me. And then Topher Grace as a guest star, interesting choice.
Yeah,
seems how he was a That 70s show, not That 80s show, and I guess appeared on That 90s show, but R.I.P. That 90s show got canceled.
Indeed, much like most of its cast members.
Yeah. So I thought he was a lot of fun. I guess it would have been like if they're doing this 80s parody, it would have been like an 80s star. But, William Hurt is dead, so he can't reprise his character.
Yeah.
for Body Heat. But Topher Grace seemed to like have a lot of fun with it. And good on him. But yeah, MVJ, I'm going to give it to good old Seymour Skinner. Just him wearing those short shorts, suits, fanning off Chalmers, and then him hanging out with Bart was a lot of fun for me. How about you, Steve?
Well, Craig, I think that there was a lot of fun in this episode. In the very beginning, when the kids are playing in the fire hydrant and the firefighters kick them out so they can play in the water. Orderlies saying that orderlies have feelings too. Kind of funny. That all the 80s references were a good time. And I like how tight the episode is. There's a lot of like funny back and forth. I think that Topher Grace did a fun job. I think he was really game for the role. And I just think that, like you mentioned, it was an interesting choice. But I think if I have to give an MBJ, I think I'm going to give it to Lisa. One, her interactions with Grandpa were a lot of fun. And in the end, when, they wanted her to be a cop, but, she's shooting at a gun first. But mostly for her vampire impression, I thought was just a lot of fun. But Craig, what do you think of this episode altogether?
Yeah, I forgot about the fun Lisa vampire bit. I'll put that up there as one of my favorite gags as well. What did I think, Steve? Well, look, we are still doing we complain about not having that fun Simpsons adventure of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a little bit of an avant-garde or a weird tangent of an episode, but it's something that I kind of like. And I like the noir aspect, and it kind of makes me want to watch Body Heat. So if anything, Jeff Westbrook is like, hey, go watch Body Heat. Thank Lords Kasdan, you know? Yeah, a little spicy, little risque, and it's fun too. You know, again, I think the fun about this episode, even though it's, you know, we've talked about so many times, like, okay, who cares if The Simpsons messes with the timeline? You just have to at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about it, kids. But I think what's fun about that is they put those little Easter eggs and of like the crayon, and then, you know, have we always wondered why Mr. Burns always keeps Homer around, and this being like a reason, or maybe it's not like the canon reason that just he has to. And I like the story of Abe and Burns, like especially the Hellfish episode.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to like see that they were these kind of like two equals. It just makes you think of like there's this whole universe before like Homer and Marge, you know, having the Simpsons, and like all of Abe's wacky adventures before the kids. And I think it's just kind of a fun episode, you know, because he's a detective, and then doesn't he also own a laser rink later, and all the wacky jobs, and, you know, had a farmhouse, you know. But it as goofy as it was, I still was delighted by the episode. If I had to get a ranking, look, Topher Grace, guest star in this episode, was on That 70s Show, Steve. And I'll let you know that 70s Show had 200 episodes.
Wow.
But sadly, Topher Grace wasn't on the last season. So he only appeared on 179 episodes. So I'll give it 179 out of 200. How about you, Steve?
That's good. Well, Craig, this was a very interesting episode. And I forgot to mention this, but on X, formerly Twitter, there was a tweet or an X from Al Jean talking about how there's a long-running mystery solved in this episode, and he was going to send a signed script by him to the first person guessing the mystery, and that mystery being, of course, how Homer has not been fired from his job. And so I thought that was kind of a fun, like, reason for this whole episode to exist, is, like, the why of why Homer is always at the plant, and then the fact that it's so removed from Homer. And then we get to see more of Abe and Burns interacting. I think it was a lot of fun. It was such an interesting choice to do a noir reference to the 80s from Body Heat, which is not, you know, in the zeitgeist. We're not, like, trying to capture something that's really popular. Like, when they did The Yellow Lotus, say, a couple weeks ago, you know, that is a popular show, especially when they were, like, writing it, probably, and everyone was talking about it. But I feel like nobody's talking about Body Heat. And in a way, I kind of respect that more because it's such an interesting, obscure choice to pull from that it kind of makes the episode a bit richer, because if you're going into this blind, it adds a whole depth of, like, information that you're not just waiting for a reference to something that you already know of. And it does make me want to, like, watch Body Heat and learn more about it. So I think that's effective. And I think that the interactions were a lot of fun. I like the visual gags, like the business cards I thought were great, like at the end there with, like, these fireproof tires and Lard Boy and Young Jewish Man. Like, it's like a precursor of what Springfield is going to be, and it's kind of cool to see the old people interacting with one another as young people. So and you know, it's a little sexy, it's a little weird, it's my kind of thing. So I think this was a fun episode, and I'm gonna call it a watch. And if you go to the website Rotten Tomatoes, you'll find that the movie Body Heat has a 96 on the tomato meter, which is very impressive. And so out of 96, I'm going to give this, we'll say, an 81, like the year that they were in Body Heat.
You were born.
Yeah, we don't need to highlight that.
Okay.
But yeah, fun episode, and I enjoyed watching it, but will we enjoy what we're watching next week? Well, maybe, because it's that time of year, that spooky time of year. We don't need the Wheel of Random because, yeah.
Well, Steve, I mean, technically I still have to guess the title, right? And if I do, then we're done with the episode.
Oh, that's true.
The series, I mean. All right. I'm just going to announce it here, Steve. Now, we know this is season 36.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we are getting, you know, after Halloween, we are getting House Horror of Tree 36.
Oh.
What?
You're so close.
Oh, sorry. Horror Tree of House 63.
Again, you're circling the drain. You're so close.
Okay, of horror House tree?
I want to give it to you so badly.
63.
No. Yeah, one more chance.
Okay. Matt Groening's Wacky Family Adventures?
Okay. What number?
69.
Damn it, Craig. You almost had it. Next week's episode is Matt Groening's Wacky Adventures, a.k.a. Treehouse of Horror 35.
Ah, man. So close.
I know. So here's what it says. We have giant monsters created by political rage, not a political podcast, threaten to tear the town apart. A Victorian Mr. Burns is jump-scared on Thanksgiving by the ghost of his abused workers, and Homer bonds with a pair of extraterrestrial genes in an unforgettable stop-motion adventure that can only be called Denim.
Just in time, didn't that Venom movie just come out, or the new one?
It's the #1 movie at the box office, it's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll wait till it's on digital in like a week.
That sounds about right, yeah. But I do enjoy the fan art, though, because it is a worried Homer face next to, like, a denim-like Venom, like a jeans denim, so that's fun. And it's kind of a fun connection to this week's episode, because, you know, they're going to do a Venom parody, and we had Venom himself on this week's episode.
The one and only Venom in my book.
That's right. He is Eddie Brock.
He would have been a good Peter Parker, too.
Every time. Yeah, I always thought about that. Like, he would have been... Like, I love Tobey Maguire. I think he did a great job. But I always thought that Topher Grace is, like... He was made to be Peter Parker, and I think it's a shame that he wasn't able to do it as like, a younger person.
Was it because of his character on That 70s Show being, like, the nice, nerdy kid?
It could be, yeah. It was a little on the nose. Especially since he was dating a redhead at the show, and he got bit by a radioactive spider in the 3rd season. His parents were killed, and he wanted to be a wrestler. And, you know, the rest.
All sorts of fun.
Exactly.
All right.
And speaking of fun, we hope you had fun this week. Thank you so much for listening. We want to hear from you, and you can reach out to us on the socials, like your Instagram, your Threads, or your YouTube at 13simpsons. And you can always email us at 13simpsons@gmail.com.
And you can go ahead and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast you listen to. Leave us 5 stars or the equivalent, but you don't have to write a real review. No, just tell us your favorite William Hurt movie that's not Body Heat.
The Hurt Locker? Is that his?
William Hurt?
Yeah.
No, because his name is Hurt. No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just about him in a locker.
Yeah.
But you can also get some cool swag. You know, you can support your favorite 13 Simpsons Annoyed Grunt Boy gear by going to tpublic.com/user/annoyedgruntboys and get yourself a t-shirt or a hat or a sticker or a button or whatever you'd like. All right. Thank you so much for listening. For this week, I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Steve.
I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Craig.
And remember, you're lying about messes you should let thing.
I'll be your daddy and mommy.
You were too good a lover to be more than just a friend.